When Senator Booker asked about $35 million in frozen New Jersey grants, it seemed routine, but what followed exposed something far worse: a Justice Department weaponizing resources for political ends. From baseless arrests of mayors to gutting corruption units while corporate mergers sail through. This wasn't oversight. It was a systematic dismantling of justice itself, caught on camera in real time.
So I have questions not about the case, but really about how the decisions to arrest and charge Braca and now MacIver, Congresswoman MacIver, were really made. Before this committee, I am saying that I'm going to submit these questions for the record, and I'm really hoping that we can understand how those decisions, as our oversight, how we're making decisions, especially for high-level officials in my state, the mayor of our largest city, the congressperson of that city, and I'm hoping that you can respond to those letters on the record.
Yeah, and Senator, that matter is ongoing, and so I can't discuss it. As an attorney, you realize I can't discuss an ongoing matter.
And I respect that. I guess I just want to know, and we'll leave this for the questions for the record about the decisions on how they're being made, not the case in itself. I want to move on. And again, I've heard your testimony so far. I know that there is data about violent crime in this city, but I'm really concerned about the application of Justice Department resources towards the challenges we have. You and I both know that about 11,000 Americans have been killed by a firearm just this year. The Department of Justice, according to the White House's own documents, as well as that of the conservative think tank Cato, have shown that there has been a significant movement of law enforcement resources away from many other issues and into immigration enforcement. And we are seeing that in that immigration report, a lot of the people are not the violent criminals that we are really needing to rid our streets of. In total, according to the Cato Institute, you've reassigned 7,460 law enforcement away from their primary duties, investigating drug traffickers, prosecuting child pornography, targeting high-value white-collar criminals, and again, forcing them, this is according to the Cato Institute, into low-level immigration enforcement. This includes, in terms of gun violence, 1,778 agents from the ATF to this kind of immigration enforcement. The White House itself has said that they diverted 45% of all of agents in 25 FBI field offices to work on immigration full-time. As a person who worked very closely in my time as mayor with the New Jersey field office, that's really concerning given the other threats. But it doesn't end there. The DOJ has eliminated the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, the independent component of the DOJ whose job it was to combat transnational organized crime, dissolved the Community Relations Service, which in New Jersey has been invaluable over 60 years, responding to communities experiencing conflict or violence, and something that people on both sides of the aisle of this committee have really invested in. You all have rescinded VOCA and VAWA grants to support survivors of sexual assault and human trafficking. There seems to be a disconnect here between the application of the resources of the Justice Department on the things that are most concerning when it comes to crime and where they're being directed instead.
Senator Booker, first to OCDETF. The most important point is that the work of OCDETF is continuing. The executive office is being dissolved. We have said that, but the work of OCDETF is continuing. The resources that were previously provided to law enforcement organizations through OCDETF are now going directly to those organizations. I will assure you, no work will be sacrificed as a result of getting rid of the executive office of OCDETF. The agents and the attorneys are working with Homeland Security. They're all working together as a unit.
Okay, Attorney General Bondi, I'm running out of time, and I'm going to put some questions in QFRs, because again, this is conservative think tanks and others are pointing about literally over 1,000 people being taken off of things that I think would concern the public. Putting there, I'd like to get that, but I also just want to quickly mention that for the record, I want to ask about the public corruption unit as well. We now have gone from a public corrupt integrity section that went from 36 full-time prosecutors to now only 2. And yet we know, Democrats and Republicans, there is a real problem with public corruption in our country. And we know that the DOJ has stopped enforcing the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, disbanded the Foreign Influence Task Force, dismissed the indictment against Trump donor Andrew Weidenhorn, cut back on white-collar investigations. My list goes on. I'm running out of time. But I will ask for the record against not only reassigning officers and prosecutorial resources from the other things I mentioned, but public corruption is really important. I want to talk about an area of bipartisanship on this committee, which is antitrust. This is a very bipartisan area. In June, the Antitrust Division finalized a proposed consent decree with Hewlett-Packard Enterprises and Juniper Networks, settling the DOJ's challenge to the company's $14 billion merger. Reportedly, your Chief of Staff, Chad Mizell, and Acting Deputy Attorney General Woodard overruled career antitrust staff and approved the merger. This is a massive area of concern for Americans writ large. This is an area where corporate power is growing, corporate concentration in our country is happening at great degree. I'm grateful that the ranking member with Mike Lee on a committee that is really trying to get into this disturbing trend. And the issues right now in the Justice Department, the resources being put on it, and the appearance of improprieties that we're seeing are troubling. All I want to ask as my final question is, would you commit, just to talk about antitrust, to coming before the antitrust subcommittee led by Senator Lee to discuss antitrust enforcement in our country?
We're over time. May I answer, Chairman?
Yes.
Senator Booker, I work hand in hand with Gail Slater. She is doing an incredible job. I said that earlier. I will let Gail Slater handle all matters with antitrust. The HP matter, Juniper, is a pending matter still because, as you know, it has to go before the courts, even after a decision has been made, and that's where it's pending right now. If I can go back to your previous 2 questions, first about our agents being reassigned. Our agents are working tirelessly on their day jobs and with Homeland Security. And right now, they're not getting paid. And they're on the streets during a government shutdown working to keep every city in this country safe, in New Jersey and in every state. They're working together with DHS on task forces, but they're also doing their core mission, and they're getting child predators off the street. They are working so hard with all the agencies hand in hand. That has not been sacrificed. And I'm so proud of the work that the FBI, DEA, ATF are doing. ATF agents have worked tirelessly. I am in constant contact with them on the incredible cases that they're making to keep our country safe and our world safe, especially our DEA agents who are stationed around this world, and now they're not getting paid. Back to the public integrity section, the last point you made. It has not been slashed. Those are going to the various U.S. attorney offices to be handled in each office around the country instead of one unit based in D.C.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
Before Blackburn, my Democrat colleagues continue to criticize the DOJ for their role in President Trump's historic immigration crackdown. They've talked about due process. They've talked about the lack of transparency and oversight. However, my Democratic colleagues were silent about the former Biden administration failure to vet Afghan evacuees. Instead of coming clean, the Biden administration dismissed and failed to answer my oversight request.
What Senator Booker accomplished in this hearing wasn't just asking tough questions, it was systematically documenting how a justice system gets weaponized in real time. His methodical approach, built on facts rather than theatrics, revealed 3 critical patterns that should alarm every American who believes in equal justice under law. This wasn't political grandstanding, it was a prosecutor's case study in institutional capture. The frozen grants issue exposes selective punishment disguised as policy review. New Jersey sends more federal tax dollars to Washington than it receives back. Yet $35 million in bipartisan public safety grants remain frozen while other states see theirs restored. When Booker pressed for specifics, Bondi offered vague appeals processes but couldn't explain why New Jersey, a blue state, remains uniquely penalized. This isn't administrative oversight, it's financial retaliation against political opponents using taxpayer money as leverage. The Mayor Baraka arrest reveals something more sinister: direct political control over field operations from Washington. Federal agents don't typically arrest sitting mayors without ironclad evidence, yet video evidence shows agents explicitly stating the arrest order came per the Deputy Attorney General. A federal judge didn't just dismiss the charges, he called them embarrassing and a worrisome misstep that violated basic prosecutorial standards. But the damage was done, the precedent set. The message sent to local officials was crystal clear: cross this administration's agenda and face public humiliation through manufactured prosecutions. Most troubling is the resource reallocation Booker documented. Over 7,400 law enforcement personnel pulled for drug trafficking, child exploitation, and white-collar crime investigations to focus on immigration enforcement. The Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force dissolved. Public integrity prosecutors cut from 36 to just 2. Meanwhile, corporate mergers worth billions sail through after Greer antitrust staff get overruled by political appointees. This creates a justice system that protects the powerful while punishing political enemies. When you gut corruption investigations while weaponizing prosecutions against mayors, you're not enforcing law, you're enforcing loyalty. When you freeze grants to punish states while redirecting agents away from serious crimes, you're using justice as a political tool. Booker's questioning method was surgical: document the pattern, force acknowledgement of facts, then connect those facts to systemic breakdown. He didn't need dramatic confrontation because the facts spoke for themselves. A justice system that selectively enforces law based on political allegiance isn't justice. It's authoritarianism with legal paperwork. The real test isn't whether Bondi can deflect these questions with bureaucratic doublespeak, but whether Congress will demand accountability for what Booker methodically documented: the systematic conversion of law enforcement from public service into political enforcement. When career prosecutors fear for their jobs while corporate cronies get special treatment, when mayors get arrested on embarrassing charges while corruption investigators disappear, we're witnessing the blueprints of authoritarianism being implemented in real time.